So today's video is about pretty much how I got into the business, man. When I first started, sorry for the camera moving all over the place. When I first started, I worked as a warehouse employee at a beer factory for people that are in Raleigh, North Carolina, Men's Distributing Company. Worked in their warehouse for about 3.5 years, and one day my boss comes up to me, Don Moore. He asked me if I wanted to do a challenge. I said sure, why not? I ain't know what his challenge was, but I'm always fun and inclined to do something that's challenging. He asked me what I thought about trying to get my CDL, and I was trying to do that myself behind the scenes for 3.5 years that I worked there. But I took up his offer and studied. It was hard, but worked very hard for it just to get the permit. I would work at night. On my breaks, I would study. I would get home around like 2, 3 in the morning, sit there and read the book for a couple more hours. And a week goes, not even a week, 3 days later, I took the test. And I failed the first two, which were combination and air brakes. But the general knowledge, which 90% of people usually don't do well, I passed that with flying colors. So with that section done, I know I had 2 more to take. So I go back to work that night, pull some beer, load some trucks up, go home that night, study the other 2 sections, go to the DMV, still failed the combinations but passed the air brakes. So alright, now I know I have 2 sections done with 1 to go. Now, did the same thing, worked, studied as hard as I could. And I remember going the following day to take the last section, which was the combinations. And when I took it, I missed it by 1 question. I was frustrated, but I ain't let it get to me. So what I did is I studied that section that I failed, but also I learned something from it. What I learned is most of these tests are pretty much the same questions. So what I did is that night I studied the combination section and worked. Still, I had a job, so I still had to do it. So here comes about Friday, and I took that combination section and I passed it with flying colors, had my permit, and was happy as gold. Went to work that day, told my boss I got my permit, and went to work like nothing happened. A week later, he comes up to me, he's like, you got 1 week left on the job. So I'm thinking I'm getting fired. I'm like, okay, what did I do? What did I do wrong? Tell me, no, you're not getting fired. You're getting promoted. So I worked, was happy. Come that Friday night, the week after, it felt I was happy but sad at the same time, because I knew I was leaving these guys that I worked so hard in the warehouse for 3.5 years. And my first day on the job, that Monday, working as a truck driver, I ain't know what element I was in. I said to myself, what did I get myself into? Having to see all these stores, having to fill coolers and having to offload all these heavy things into grocery stores and convenience stores, then doing the restaurants, bars and restaurants, and knowing you pretty much could be held all day because they open late. But I didn't think I was going to make it. They didn't even think I was going to make it. They were getting ready to demote me back to the warehouse, but I got a lucky gift during that week. I had a guy that did over the road. He was my last savior. If he told them I wasn't going to do well, they were going to demote me. So he worked with me, taught me what I needed to do as a truck driver, told me just basically clear my mind. Don't let other people get to you. Don't let other people think that you're not worthy. So I worked with him for 4 months and took my test. And while I was taking my test, he was doing my route with a supervisor. And this supervisor told him basically, get ready. Hector's not going to pass this test. He's going to fail. And later on today, he called me up and he told me what the supervisor told him. So, that pretty much just fueled me. So, the first day I didn't do so well. I messed up on my backing. I kind of forgot that, only have so many chances to back up until you fail. So the next day I go into it from the point where I failed. So I go into it and I do it perfect. Take the road test with the fleet manager. He's asking me a ton of questions and trying to see if I would not pay attention to the road and fail. But nah, I had a goal. So I studied, paid attention to the road. He asked me questions. I still look at the road while I'm still talking to him. And when we got back to the warehouse, I asked him, what time do I need to report? He told me, you're reporting at normal time, 4:30 in the morning. So that's when it hit me that I actually passed and got my CDL. So at this point, they're telling me go to the DMV. They actually forward me $75 to get my license. And at the time that I took this, the course was $1,000 with a contract and a clause basically saying if I stood with the company, I would get my $1,000 back. So I got my $1,000 after a year, went to the DMV, got my license, came back in the van, picked up my route right where it was left off, and shocked the supervisor. Supervisor had a stunned look on his face like, what are you doing here? Didn't you fail your test? I said, no, sir. I did better than that. I passed. So I passed, got it, and that was the most excitement part of my life. Now, fast forward a year and a half, because I was young and dumb, I did the most stupidest thing you can possibly do to lose your job. I made up shorts and errors to profit myself. The dumbest mistake I ever made. And I regret that, because I love that company that I worked for, had fun with it, enjoyed enjoyed it. So then I went to a wine company 2 months later. I had to basically relearn how to drive box trucks, deal with wine, deal with restaurants, deal with basically coming in at 5 o'clock in the morning and sometimes leaving about 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. I hated it. I love the job, love the guys, but I just hated that I would work 12 to 14 hours and with no overtime. So eventually they moved me to the fleet trucks division. I did it. But they had these demountable trucks, and I could not figure out how you get underneath those things. Basically, you had to be careful because if you move one of the landing gears too much, that pod could fall and make your night long. Also, if you're ever doing demountables, make sure that when you put the landing gear, you put it on concrete, not dirt like I did one night. I put it on dirt and I could not get underneath it. Then to make things worse, the mirror broke when I was backing in because I hit the fence with it. Yeah, it made my night super long. But I did enjoy doing it, but it just was not fun. So I worked at this wine company for about almost 5 years. So then after that, my friend called me. He asked me what I would think about doing over the road. At this point, I was looking for a new avenue, so I took it with flying colors, not knowing what I was getting into. I took it with flying colors. So he taught me basically how to drive a stick shift, which I never drove a stick shift a day in my life. He taught me how to drive it. He taught me how to drive 53 footers, which I never drove in my life until I started working at Empire. They taught me how to drive 53 footers. I ain't got nothing to bash about Empire. Empire taught me everything I need to know, man. I don't bash none of the companies I ever worked for. Because at the end of the day, you still gonna be learning. Even if you're not in trucks, every day you're learning about something. The day you stop learning is the day you got problems. But anyway, back to the story. So I made it now over the road, working for my best friend, which is a company I work for now. Yeah, there was some rocky terms. I've done some dumb stuff that any company would get you canned. But now, pretty much in almost my 4th year, this November will be 4 years I worked for this company over the road. And pretty much I enjoy every day of it, man. You go pretty much anywhere you want to go. You can be in one state one day, you can be in the next state the next day. You can be home. And this company is very good at when you got home time, man. They let you go home, enjoy yourself, relax. And it's the best thing. But let me get back to the story, man. It pretty much just do it over the road. I like it better. Yeah, there's a clock. Yeah, there's things right now going on with gas prices and brokers trying to stiff you. But you got to be into it with a passion to do this. If you're not have a passion for it, and you're just going in here thinking, oh, I'm going to make big bucks, it's going to be a surprise. Trucking is not cheap. To fill up one of these trucks, it'll cost you about anywhere between $500 to $1,000 right now at the gas prices. That's one fill up. Now, truck stops. What I've learned about these truck stops you go to, man, these people clean the bathrooms in some places and some don't. Like, I walked into bathrooms that looked like a 5-year-old just went in there and just destroyed the place. And this is also why when I go to truck stops, if I had to use a restroom or anything, man, I take a shower credit. At least I know those are sometimes clean. Not gonna say they're 100% clean. They sometimes clean. But best thing is when you're home. Because when you're home, you know the restroom you're gonna go into is clean, and you're not gonna have issues. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff I'm learning about trucking, man. You gotta be into it, man. If you're not into it, it's gonna chew you out. Downside to it is, don't really have much of a personal life. Like, if you're trying to get a girlfriend, trying to have kids, then I wouldn't advise trucking. But if you're out there just trying to do what you got to do just to get by and have fun, then yeah, I would recommend it. I'm having fun. As a single person, yeah, I'm definitely having fun with this. But you got to come into it hungry. If you're coming into it half hungry, you're going to starve. You got to come in with that passion. As a fellow YouTuber that I watch, Just Trucking, man, good channel, should subscribe to it. He talks about how the business is, how these brokers basically are just not paying nothing, loads being so high. I mean, no, not loads, let me correct myself. Fuel prices being high and loads being garbage. But mostly in his videos, you watch basically his life, his family, his passion. But I have that passion. Maybe one day I will be a YouTuber. Maybe I'll do videos about trucking. I'll probably give it a few more months. I get into it. But I'm not one that's going to tell you subscribe, join my channel. I want you to watch it. And if you really feel convinced you need to join, go ahead and join, man. But I will tell you, I will put some good content on there. I'm going to speak from the truth and from the heart. I'm not going to tell you garbage. And I will tell you what my lifestyle is like. I'm not going to go in here and say I'm a millionaire. I'm not. I'm just an average person just trying to live life to the fullest and have fun in trucking. And once I figure out the YouTube movement, I'll start posting videos about what I do out here on the road and my personal life, what you see at home or what you see me do on the road. But yeah, trucking's been fun for me. And if you get into it, find yourself a good company that's going to pay you right, treat you right. And at the end of the day, you got to know your worth. You can't have people just walk all over you. If you have people walk all over you, man, you're going to feel like everyone's taking advantage of you. Me, I live to the fullest, baby, man. As a single person, I try to enjoy it. Because you never know. One day you could be here, next day you cannot. But anyway, I've been rambling for about almost 20 minutes. God bless and enjoy your day. Thank you.